Let's get into it, guys. But anyways, in all seriousness, guys, welcome back to another video. And yes, if you saw by the title of this video, I'm going to tell you in depth on how to make your own Deku cosplay. So the first thing you're going to want to do is get a list ready of stuff you're going to need. And I'm going to try and make this for the most cheap way possible, because that's what I tried doing the first time, that's what I did the second time as well. So real quick, I'm just going to tell you guys all the parts that we're not going to be modifying on this costume. So the red shoes, you're not going to be modifying these at all, except for switching out the red laces with black laces, so these aren't going to get touched. Your elbow pads, if you're doing that version of the costume, you're not going to have to do anything to those if you buy them. The knee pads as well, except for if you want to paint on gold rivets, you can do that. And a wig, you're not going to be modifying the wig except for, you know, teasing it, making it look more messy. So what you're going to want to do is go on to zentaizentai.com or any Zentai costume website you want. Once you get on your Zentai website, then you're going to want to go look for a costume that is the same color as Deku's costume, and that color is teal. And before you actually buy your costume, make sure that you get a front chest zipper, because that's the accurate zipper that he has on his costume, and you're going to want to get a detachable mask because it's just going to make it easier so you don't have to cut the neck off and, you know, re-sew or re-glue the neck. So I did a removable mask deal, and yeah, so this is the front of the mask, and we're actually going to be using the mask for another part of the costume later on. So yeah, keep this guy. So what you're going to want to do is once you get your costume, you are going to want to jump into it and have someone help you tape off the costume. What I mean by that is there's black trimming on the costume, and you're going to pretty much outline the trim, and then you're going to pretty much Sharpie that onto the costume. You know, make sure that you can have the outline of the trim so that you're able to paint on trim with, I believe it is Tulip Soft fabric paint I used. Once you're done painting on all the black trim, then you can outline everything in puff paint, and that just adds an extra dimension to the trim itself. You know, raises it up a little bit from the costume, makes it look a little bit nicer. What you can do after that is you can cut off the feet, because you're not going to need the feet. You can keep a little section of the foot so that the leg stays stretched around your leg. So keep a little part around the ankle, and I'll show that right here. So after you cut off the feet, you can cut off the hands, and you could probably leave this thumb section just because it'll help just keep everything stiff and not wrinkly when you're wearing the costume. So after you have all the lines painted on, you can then glue on your white shoulder pad pieces. And these, again, I just did with craft foam. I added on these things, added on some puff paint, you know, try to make it look a little bit nicer. And yeah, you can glue those on, and remember to angle them because that's kind of how they are in the show. So that just keep that in mind. You can do this either way. People Velcro them, you can button them. I just did hot glue because truthfully, if it does come undone, I can just reapply it and it'll be fine. And yeah, once you get those things glued on, you have your entire costume done. And then you can, I mean, if you want to go an extra added step and start kind of weathering the costume a little bit, make it look lived in, that is also another thing, but truly the costume doesn't look like that in the show. Until later on in the series when he actually like uses the same costume over and over and over again. Okay, so the next part of the costume I'm going to go in depth about is the face mask. This is a two-part mask thing that's detachable. Of course, you're going to buy I Would Cosplay's template off of his Etsy or his new website. I believe he has this stuff on now. You're going to cut out all your template pieces, and you're going to glue them all together. Well, not all together. You're going to glue them kind of sectioned. Every part that's black, you're going to keep that detached from the silver parts. And you're going to spray paint your silver, spray paint your black. You're going to glue it all together. And then you can add in black fabric behind it, so you have that breathability, but yet all the holes are still covered up. After that, you can start reinforcing everything in the back. As you see, all the hot glue that I have, reinforcing everything is really nice. I also added a strap. I did also, if you can see that, I bored out the ears, so I have a little bit more room for my ears to sit, so my ears aren't getting crushed. Once you have everything glued together, you have a completed mask. I also did a little bit of weathering on it, if you see on the sides and whatnot. Now moving on to the next part of the costume, which is the face mask part. This part, what I did was I put on the mask and I drew on my face and I got this shape more so. And then I, of course, cut out some eyes and I seam ripped the top of the head and glued on the ears. And these were the feet from the costume. So if you cut off the feet and you stuff the feet up, you can use them as ears. That's just, you know, kind of being a little resourceful there. Once you have everything all good there, you can glue on some snap buttons, if you see right there, and it should snap right on. And just like that, it is on, and it's not supposed to be worn most of the time. It's just legitimately supposed to be a dangling piece. So the next thing we're gonna move on to is the hands. And if you are trying to make this a convertible costume like I did, where you can convert between the 3 versions of the costume, you're gonna wanna buy 2 pairs of these long, they're like opera gloves or whatever, you know, that girls wear. But if you buy them, you'll be good, don't worry. So the first pair, you're gonna go right here on the hand and you're gonna snip it right off. And then you're gonna use that extra fabric for another part on the arm. So once you have that guy all cut off and everything, you can then taper it and glue it all down. And then you can paint the inside of the palm teal. As you see by what I did, I just grabbed some fabric paint, mixed it to the color teal that I wanted. And then these are some little clothespin hangers. And I just cut them up, sanded them down, repainted them, and made them the knuckles on the costume. Once you have that guy all done, then you have the hand completed on the Air Force glove. So breaking down the actual Air Force gauntlet part itself, it's actually a pretty easy build. So the first thing I did was I made the wristband piece. And I made that from, let's see, is like 5 layers of foam right here, just like all stacked up, just to make it thick. On some of the pieces, I cut in divots in the foam so that I could have hollow holes. And then, you know, I added the extra layers of foam on top of that, which gave it that cool kind of look. Because a lot of this was black foam, I had to paint it all white and make it all kind of, I added puff paint around it to make it kind of all just meshed together so it's not like a bunch of stacked layers. After that, I grabbed another piece of foam, I glued it on top after I painted it, and then on top of that piece, because these are 2 separate pieces right here of foam, I glued both these pieces together, painted it all, and then glued it all together and added a strip of Velcro, and boom. And that's kind of, as you see, there's a little bit of a gap, so in the future I might actually make a version 2 of these guys. So for the second pair of gloves, you actually are just gonna keep them regular. You're just not gonna do anything to them. And what you're gonna do with the cut off pieces that you used for the Air Force gloves is you're actually gonna make the arm bands that go along with the gloves, and that sits right at the bicep. You're gonna make like this divot piece kind of thing, glue fabric around it, glue fabric around this foam part right here. I also added in some foam so it stayed stiff to my arm. Paint on puff paint to get his design, and boom, then you have his armband that can also just get pushed down to right here, and it can then act as the regular glove. So this is actually a part of the costume that I did also redo, and I do have a lot of footage of this guy. What I did was I grabbed my belt, I took everything off of it, I grabbed some more foam, I wrapped foam around the belt like that, like so, and then I made 4 more pouches. They're not like removable pieces or anything, but if I wanted to later on make new ones that are workable pieces, I can do that. So the next part of the costume are his leg pieces or whatever. So what I did was I bought a pair of, I believe, like dance leggings for men offline, and I snipped the legs off. What I needed was a hole for my heel to go into, and the dance ones are perfect for those. I made a foam piece and then I added some foam trim around it. And after that, I then glued it to the inside right here, glued it all on the inside. I just pull it up and then I pull the other pieces over this guy, and it looks really cool. Of course, you know, you don't have to do anything for the knee pad on that, but for the thigh calf piece, I have it right here. And it's actually was really interesting to make this guy. So what I did was I grabbed some of this like mattress foam stuff, as you see right here. It's pretty movable, pretty pliable. I had to shave it down quite a bit to get it to the shape that I wanted. I then beveled it So I had a little bit of like that bevel. As you kind of see, there's like a line running right here. And then on the inside, I glued foam. It does make it a little hard to put on once everything got all glued together and I put fabric over it. But once I did that, it was... And if you really want to, you could probably just do this method for the top part too. You can make a bottom one that goes down on your calf, and then you can make one that goes on your thigh upward like this, and not even have to glue anything to your leggings. But I did that just because I felt it would work a little bit better. And yeah, so once you get that all glued together, you're gonna want to do the last part of the costume, which are your shoe covers right here. And yeah, these look pretty, as you see it, yeah, it looks pretty badass. So how I did this was I made templates for every piece. So after I got all the templates cut out and then all the templates put onto foam, I cut them out of foam, and then I meticulously glued them all together. And as you see right here, there's actually a hinge point so that these are like moving, rocking pieces. And that is just done with giant snap buttons that work. So if you want to do the same method, it works, and then it's easy to put on as well. You can weather this guy as well, just because Deku uses his feet. He uses a lot of kicks and while he fights. Definitely adding the weathering here would be the move. Okay, so now that I have went over everything on the costume, I will give you a full overview of the costume itself on me.
Young man, you too can become a hero. There are stories about every hero, how they became great. Most have one thing in common. Their bodies moved before they had a chance to think, almost on their own. Today, that's what happened to me. I wasn't born with this power. It's a sacred torch that was passed on to me from someone else. The true name of Black Power is one for all. And you're next. I can give you my abilities.
So I really hope you guys liked me showing off the version 2 of this Deku cosplay. And if there's anything you feel I need to explain more so, let me know in the comments down below and I can try and tell you down there, or I can make a whole nother video just fully going in depth on that. Remember to like this video, remember to leave any other comments down below, and remember to hit that subscribe button, because that subscribe button's gonna be waiting for everyone, guys. I'll see you later. Deuces. I don't get it. I just got an email from one of my workers about an OnlyFans.
Keep it going. Let's see what I can do. I can't even do like a handspring thing. Let's see what I can do. Oh. I figured I was gonna lose my wig doing that. Give it a shot though.